Taoiseach, my first day in Leinster House was 25 years ago, when I was a member of the Defence Force security detail charged with protecting the campus. And I admit to spending a little bit too much time in the visitors' gallery looking down at proceedings. Little did I know how events would transpire, and I would actually end up here today. And it's on that basis, Taoiseach, that I want to welcome the additional funding that's been announced for our military this morning. I think it's really, really important because it's desperately needed. I do welcome the increased funding for infrastructure, increased funding for capability development, but particularly I want to welcome the increased funding for military pay for the people who are in the lowest pay grade in our defence forces. Those are the people who have less than 3 years service. We all appreciate that our defence community have no access to the Workplace Relations Commission. They're denied access to the Labour Court, and they're denied access to any type of industrial action whatsoever. So they're uniquely vulnerable from that perspective. So it is the government's job to regularly intervene to ensure a level playing field from a military perspective. And to be fair to the opposition as well, it's also the opposition's role. And I want to put on record my gratitude to all members of the House from all sides, both government and opposition benches, who have campaigned so passionately over this issue for the last number of years. And it's good to see at least a moderate increase and a moderate improvement being announced this morning. Is the plan perfect? Of course not. But is it progress? Yes, for sure. And it builds on progress that has already occurred this year, particularly allowing reservists to travel overseas and for PD4 and RACO to associate with ICTU. How will we know if the plan is working? And there's only one metric that matters, Taoiseach, and that's headcount. The strength of our military is the lowest it's been for 50 years right now, less than 8,300 people. It hasn't been this low in half a century, and we need to get that number up. 203, so there's been a net loss of 203 people already in the first 5 months of this year. That's 10 people a week. That's not turnover, Taoiseach, that is attrition. And no organisation can put up with that level of attrition. So I think the focus now needs to shift on 3 other allowances. First of all, specialised instructors allowance. This is an allowance that was taken away as a result of the FEMPI cuts that have yet to be returned. Also, the military service allowance needs to be done, but also the patrol duty allowance. And the Taoiseach will be aware that there's a major problem in the naval service at the moment, because it is only his constituency. We get lots of calls from Cork, which I'm very happy to take, of course. I would say that, strictly speaking, they may not be my constituents, but they certainly are my people. And I guess my question to the Taoiseach is this: does he accept that there are unique industrial relations circumstances in our armed forces as part of our military community? And as a result, it requires regular, direct intervention by the Cabinet to ensure there's a level playing field for our troops and for their very important families. Thank you very much, Taoiseach.
Thank you, Dr. Berry. Taoiseach.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the Deputy for raising this very important issue. I think it is fair to say that since you've been elected, you've been a very strong advocate for the Defence Forces, and you've been advocating on their behalf to many members in this House, including members of government, and your advocacy has been consistent and I think genuine, obviously, given your own experiences. I did realise that the vicarious influences, if I may say, of just being here looking after us many, many years ago had a clear impact, and you have ended up as a member of the House through spending that time in the gallery, and obviously you must have been attracted to what was going on in the gallery, that you want to become a participant yourself. But today at the Cabinet, Minister Coveney brought forward a memorandum. We have met with the Commission on a number of occasions. I've met with the Commission and the Commission Chair. It's a high-level action plan. It will entail multi-annual funding increases commencing in 2023 to reach a defence budget of 1.5 billion by 2028. And it will involve, and you're correct in saying a key metric will be increasing the number of personnel, which will be an enormous challenge, nearly 2,000 over the current establishment of 9,500. And the other key aspect of it, though, is that there is an urgent need for human resource change. There's an urgent need for a cultural transformation of our defence forces. And when I spoke to the chairperson, he was adamant about that. There are many practices that need dramatic transformation. It'll take time. And that is as an important part of the Commission's recommendations as the ambition to go to a higher level of provision and defence capability. And the report is saying to go to level 2 as outlined in the report. And I don't think we have any choice but to do that in terms of the level of ambition. I think it's a realistic level of ambition that we can get to And then when we get to that level of ambition, we can review, because we do need radar systems. We do need to have a greater understanding of the risks and so on, and given our maritime size, and also then in terms of that relates to our naval strength, and then what's going on in the airs around Ireland, in the air around Ireland, and so on. And these are all issues that we need to be stronger in terms of capability, intelligence, and understanding. And also then in terms of the pay structures, to provide immediate access to the Seagoing Service Commitment Scheme, to direct entry personnel in the naval service. That's a recommendation that we're going to follow through on. The removal of the requirement for a private 3-star able seaman to mark time for the first 3 years at that rank. The payment of the full rate of military service allowance applicable to the rank of all private 3-star able seaman personnel. Replacement of the existing seagoing allowances with less complex seagoing duty measures, and introduction of long service increments to the pay scales of all ranks. These are all the recommendations that have been made on the personnel front, and it's something we're going to pursue. And government will be keeping a hands-on approach, and the department and I as Taoiseach will be following through in terms of implementation with the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Defence.
Deputy.
Thank you, Taoiseach, for the response. Just one supplementary matter I'd like to raise as well. It's in relation to the €1,000 pandemic bonus payment. Not a single member of the Defence Forces has been paid yet, not one. Even though hundreds are ineligible, hundreds are entitled to it, hundreds have been told it's coming, but it still hasn't arrived. We've heard quite rightly that 75,000 people from the HSE have been paid, and that's fantastic, and well done to the HSE for paying their own staff. But there are other organisations who looked after the contact tracing, the testing and the vaccination that are eligible for this allowance, but it still hasn't been paid. Not only has it not been paid, but nobody has applied for it from the Defence Forces because there's no mechanism there to do so. So I'd be grateful if the Taoiseach could take it up with his relevant line ministers and see can he ensure prompt payment for our troops. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Berry. Taoiseach.
Yes, first of all, I want to acknowledge that members of the Defence Forces did play a crucial role in our testing and tracing and vaccination programmes. In recognition of their input and unique role during the pandemic, the government announced that they would benefit from the COVID-19 recognition payment along with other frontline workers. Now, it is disappointing that this payment has not yet been made to the members of the Defence Forces. The HSE is managing the payments to all recipients of the payment, and that involves some 90,000 healthcare workers up that have already received it. The Department of Health is due to meet formally with the Department of Public Expenditure shortly to review this and to see how we can accelerate payments to those who have yet to receive them.
Thank you very much.